Good evening to all our webinar people out there subscribing to our webinar tonight with Rich Simmonds. It is great to have you on board. Rich has reached his 250,000 followers on Twitter, which is really significant. And he also is the author of the book Mug and Tweet that is coming out soon, as well as the 5-night plan. And you are in for a treat with Rich tonight. And on the right hand side of your screen you will see there's a little chat box, and you are welcome to type in any questions that you want to ask as we go along, and I will read them out to Rich, and when we have a time for some questions at the end, and let's see if we can have them answered. And thank you for being on board with us tonight. And Rich, I'm handing over to you.
Thank you, Paul. And good evening, webinar viewers. So yes, this evening we are speaking about the topic of brand you, and I think that the big question is that this is all about personal branding. It's a little bit more than the original personal branding or what you might have thought about personal branding. Tonight we'll also go into a little bit of the basics of communication. So let's start. So Simon Sinek says the following: you need to decide whether you're a brand or a vendor. Now, knowledge, we originally thought knowledge was power. And from an academic point of view, the more certificates and degrees and accolades you had, the more powerful you believed you were. But obviously, that has changed because the sharing of knowledge now becomes powerful. So we're looking at influence and how we're going to make ourselves a little bit more powerful through the sharing of knowledge. And that's what your brand is all about. Now, one of the main problems with people is that they tend to hide behind the brand. And this comes from a sort of an ideal that if you did well at school, you would get a good position and you would have effectively made it. So effectively, if you got the good position, you'd get a lovely big corporate to employ you, and you could just hide behind that brand and almost be anonymous behind the brand. But the world has now asked for a little bit more transparency, not only from corporates, but from people. So you need to get your brand out there. And so we're going to look at how it's possible to make yourself more influential and get yourself as a brand so that people would recognize you. Sorry, I went the wrong way. So why brand you? Well, firstly, collaboration leads to innovation. The whole idea of you need to make sure many people are collaborating and sharing their ideas so that you can arrive at that new innovation. Then, of course, you need to look at your niche market and how you're going to brand yourself within that niche market. Obviously, the quicker you get your brand out there, the higher your credibility will be. It also brings you recognition and prestige and a higher perceived value. Higher perceived value, then if you've got a higher value, potentially you will also get a higher reward at the end of the month. So all these things do help in getting you not only more influence, but definitely a bigger paycheck there. Now, will everyone build their brand? Well, unfortunately or fortunately, no, they won't. 85% of the people will observe and 15% will do something. This is a simple rule. So you can look at yourself and your peers. Are they doing something? Probably not. If you want to do something, that gives you the advantage. Obviously, the switch in your mind is to decide, do you want to do something or not? And it's that choice. Do you want to or not? That'll make the difference at the end of the day. Now, most people don't listen. So that's the difference. And the people that don't listen are usually those that need to hear. So make the choice. Do you want to listen? What do you need to listen to? And it's always a case of eat the chicken, spit out the bones. Take what's necessary for you. So don't expect everything to be relevant, but those things that are relevant, use them to your advantage. Now we come to the first concept of tonight, which is I owe you. And that's not I owe you any money or you owe anyone else any money. This is virtually you owe yourself the favor of building your brand. The I stands for intention. Intention, interestingly enough, is a word that has been almost unused in the English language over the last, let's say, 400 years. The use is basically 50% less than it used to be, but it's a powerful word because it's a powerful word in our minds. So what is your intention? And when your intention becomes clear, everything becomes clear. It determines the way we think and what we think. Our intentions become the perceptions of people when they meet us. So that saying of your actions speak so loud, I can't even hear you, that comes from your intention. Your thoughts turn into actions. And, you know, goals might be one thing, and goals are good, but those goals need to become part of your intention. They can't just be something that's written down on some chart or some piece of paper somewhere. They need to be clear. So our intention is what we communicate. Traditionally, we knew about verbal and body language. Now, there's another aspect. And if I had to ask you, what do you think the percentages of verbal, body language, and another aspect are? Traditionally, people would have said, well, your body language could be double that of your verbal language because your actions speak so loud after all. Well, the recent studies, and probably about 3 years ago, the following came out. And that was 7% of our communication was verbal, 13% of our communication was body language, and then the difference was limbic or emotional communication. Now, limbic or emotional communication comes from the limbic part of your brain. It's so powerful. The emotional can be described as what Einstein called the universal energy. For those of you who've done a little bit of study into the quantum physics and the quantum idea, but it truly is what happens. Now, if we were only to send an email, the email would be worth nothing. It wouldn't even disrupt our thoughts because it would be 7% of what we see. However, the other 80% comes with that communication. So, and I go into this in my new book called Mug and Tweet. We don't have enough time this evening to look at the effect of the emotional communication, but just know it's real, and it's very real when it comes to our relationships and our brand, because our brand is all about building relationships and networks with people. Now, the O is the others, because we are not an island. We were built for community. There's community in our DNA. So it's the other people that affect. Now, interestingly enough, there's 5 people in this picture. And the reason why the 5 are there is that this is all about you and those people that you connect with. You are unique, and that's what makes you different. So embrace your uniqueness, and especially when you're thinking about your brand, understand that you need to be unique and that you need to be different. The highest compliment someone that can often pay to you is to say that you are different, because then you must realize that you have done something that's disruptive, that has been noticed, and they've noticed you as being different. So you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. So who are those 5 people? What do they look like? How do they influence your life? And these are questions that you need to ask you, because that will also affect your intention. Do they look like this? Now, choosing your friends And it's almost like choosing your photo, because if we look at the gentleman on the left, it might remind you of someone. You certainly, if you're not a pin-up and you don't want to project your band as a pin-up, don't project yourself like that. Rather be friendly, happy, and show a picture that you would like to connect. So the picture must almost say to people, that's an interesting person, I would like to get to know them. Your photo does wonders for your brand. We'll talk a little bit about photos later as well. Now, this whole evening, we'll look at a quick brand you A to Z. It's just easier to split it up into bite-sized pieces. So let's go and have a look at your brand A to Z. The first stands for authenticity. Now, authenticity is not false or copied. It's genuine, real. This is what the dictionary says. And it's an authentic antique. Well, I didn't like the idea of antique because they would say that you're old. So I put it in person in place of that. But I do like the idea of antique because it does show and suggest value. So you need to see yourself as valuable. And to be authentic to other people is to be real. So be real. Everything you do, don't try be someone else, because that will be seen as false and definitely not authentic. Secondly, around your brand, not enough can be said about a blog. Now, interestingly enough, the blog is the engine of your brand. And you'll see there's a picture of my 2 books on the right-hand side. Blog will ultimately lead you to be a publisher or to be the person that writes your book. You know, there's a book in every one of us. So the challenge is, when are you going to write your book? Get yourself out there, start blogging, and we'll also mention just now a word called twog, which is a Twitter blog. So a blog definitely doesn't have to be long. The old thing of about 500 words has come down now to 140 words. If you can't capture a person's attention in 140 words, you're not going to get them anyway. So make sure it's short, respect the person's time, get their attention, and connect with them, because it's all about connecting with people. There's the twog. So that consists of 140 words or a Twitter blog. Now we come to content. Content, as they say, content is king. I would like to say that everything, the interactions and conversations are actually the king. But it's all about the little word in the middle there, consistency. We talk about relationships, we talk about consistency. Consistency is what gives us our idea of security in our lives. The more consistent we can be, the more security we give to our followers. It's about being consistent. They must know you're there when they need you. And that's what the consistency tells people. If they can't find you when they need you, they're going to go somewhere else. So build your brand around consistency. If people refer to you as Mr. or Mrs. Consistency, you know you've achieved something. Now define. Define those problems you are going to solve. You know, this is how entrepreneurs make money. Because if you can solve other people's problems, you can actually make some money. When we copy other people, well, it's been done before. Why should they pay you top dollar if you copying other people? So just find the problems, find solutions, and sell those solutions. Define the problems. In your communication, tell people how you're going to be able to solve their problem. But of course, you need to connect with them first, find out what their problems are, and then solve them. So this is all about networking, building your brand so people want to connect with you. They saw your nice photo, they like your smile, they want to connect with you. You can then find out what their problems are. Your email list, yes, it's still important. You know, we've got all this new technology, all social media. We still need an email list. We still need that list of contacts. Put it in the cloud so that you don't lose it. Keep all those contacts. There's nothing worse than losing your list of contacts. and continuously build that list. You've never ever arrived when it comes to building your list of contacts. Focus. So you need to focus on your niche market. Now, a niche is the market that you perhaps play in a professional manner. Focus. Allow yourself to become the thought leader in those areas. And if you don't understand the concept of thought leader, follow, listen until you feel comfortable to actually add something into that area. By listening, we mean reading articles in your area of interest, and that could be a professional, it could be your hobby, it could be wherever you've decided to focus on and build your brand and build your influence. So focus on those areas, get as much information so that you can be a contributor.
Rich, I think your internet might have dropped. You can just carry on from where you were.
Okay, so should I start with influencers again there?
The niche, the focus.
Okay. All right. I hope that you can all hear me. Can you? The niche. Okay. Focus. Okay. There we go. Focus. Right. So concentrate on your niche. Concentrate. Look at the topics that interest you. Listen to as many people talking about that topic as possible. And once you understand where the gaps are in that area, where the information is that people aren't giving, fill those needs. Find those needs, fill them. That's what a niche is about. And the more you can fill those needs within a niche, the more influential you will become within that niche. Use graphics and images in your blogs, in your tweets, whatever. Here's a few examples of what I've used in tweets, and also there you'll see an infographic on the right-hand side. You don't be scared to share other people's images in the things that you say, and obviously just credit them. It's this whole reciprocal process that really does work nicely within the whole social web. Help as many people as you can, but show, find out what they need instead of just giving them what you think they need. Because people will connect with you when they know you care for them. It's the oldest style of leadership in the world. You can influence people by caring for them. Influencers. Surround yourself with these people, and where you can these associations, and incorporate yourself into as many of these associations as possible. So really, use the influencers. Again, in my book, I speak a little bit about influencers so that it give you an idea of understanding how you can, as your brand, yourself, or your company, work with the influencers so that you can get the traction that you need. There we are, the joint ventures. So working together, we have more strengths and we achieve more. Keywords. This
Rich,
goes
you
back
just
to your
need to
intention.
share your desktop again with us.
Oh, okay.
Your desktop, we see you instead of your slides.
Okay, all right. I've got to.
It looks like we've lost Rich again. Technology is great when it doesn't fail you. Let's just give him a second. He's coming back on board.
All right. Let's go there. Desktop. Are we back on my presentation? All right.
There we go. Thanks, Rich.
Paul, are we on? Okay. So keywords, this comes back to your intention. Make a short list of words that you're going to use in your communication. It comes from your intention. So once you've got your intention right, use specific keywords that people will start identifying you with. This short list of words, use them as tags, and in everything you write, or as many things as possible. So in Twitter, you might have you might be your intention to put out quotes or daily tips or industry-specific things. Find a hashtag, work around that hashtag, and become influential around a hashtag on Twitter around specific topics. And this will come into your intention. Again, coming to intention, it's like Muhammad Ali said. He said he was the champion long before he was the champion itself. So that just gives you an idea of something about intention. What do you intend to do? And start communicating, start thinking around that, and your communication around that intention will become a lot clearer. Use LinkedIn. It's not just a place to park your CV, it's actually a place to work and find out and connect with people. Those forums on LinkedIn give you a fantastic way of actually building around that niche focus of yours. Media. Now, if you're not on YouTube, you virtually don't exist. Think about getting onto YouTube. The bandwidth in South Africa, the original complaint that we all had, there wasn't enough bandwidth, is definitely changing very quickly. So think about your presence on YouTube. Don't think about making money on YouTube. That'll take you a little longer than you expect, but it's not about making money. It's if you've got a video, you've got something that everyone else doesn't have. And you've just got to think, if you were the local plumber, no other plumber has a video. You can make a video telling people how to do basic maintenance and check things in their home. You're giving something that others aren't. It's again that 85-15% that I came to at the beginning of my talk. Network with people. Follow up, and follow through. So don't forget, continuously build your network. If your network is growing, you know that something's happening. If your network is not growing or it's stagnant, you can be sure nothing's happening. Continuously grow, continuously connect. Your network is your net worth, as the old saying goes. You've got to be increasing your net worth all the time. So go for it and network. So, and Paul's association and Paul's BNI is definitely a way of building that network. So join institutions and clubs like BNI. Your opinion. it's no use trying to be out there and not having an opinion. So be bold, know why and what you stand for. And that comes back to your intention. Ask yourself, why do I do what I do? What is my purpose? What do I want my purpose to be? And you will have your opinion that you need. Stick to your opinion, and be flexible, but still you need that opinion. Your photo. Now, you'll never get a second chance to make a first impression. If we look at how Twitter works, is someone will read something that you've said. Then they'll look at your photo. And when they look at your photo, are they seeing an avatar? Are they seeing a real person? Are they seeing a friendly person? Because if the person's friendly, more often than not, people will then click on your profile, read your bio, find out who you are. If they like what you said there, they will then click through and go to whichever website or link that you've given. So it might have been your LinkedIn, it might have been your personal website, your blog. That's how people work. The photo becomes so important in your brand. Don't be scared to use your photo. It's the only way people are going to recognize you. I've been accused of overusing my photo, but people recognize me in places that they would never have recognized me if I didn't use my photo. And that allows people to connect with you. You have to have the right photo. Get a professional photo taken. Selfies are nice. They're just not very flattering. Rather get a friend of yours or professional photography, if you can afford it, to actually take a decent photo for you. And let that become your photo that's across all your networks. Don't change it across the networks. Let it happen. And
It looks like we might have lost Rich again there for a moment. Let's just give him a second and hopefully he'll be back with us momentarily. I'm going to try and get Rich on the phone and find out what's wrong. Please just be patient with us there for a minute. Hopefully we can get him back at a moment. Rich, are you back with us?
yes, I think I'm back at last. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you again. You were talking about the importance of your photo when you went off.
Okay, great. Oh, yeah. Right. Let's see. Go back to the photo. Can you see my presentation?
I can see your presentation.
Paul, are you there? Okay, good. So yes, photo, very important. Sorry about the interruptions of the internet service here. Photo, very important. You'll never get a second chance to make that first impression. So make sure you've got a photo that's really going to do a great impression for you. Questions. Authentic listening is what it's all about. Now, the only time that we can really know that someone listened to us is if they ask us a question. Otherwise, we'll get the impression that they're just waiting for us to finish so they can say what they wanted to say. If you're saying something and I actually ask a question about what you've just said, then I know you've actually listened. Coming to the elevator pitch, that fantastic thing that everyone talks about, an effective elevator pitch is great, and if you've got your elevator pitch, wonderful. However, a lot of people might not have that elevator pitch, and if you do allow yourself to be caught alone in that elevator with that person that you need to have probably done your elevator pitch in, remember that what I said earlier, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So ask them the question first. Ask them what they do. It allows you to then at least engage with a person as opposed to just standing there not knowing or wondering what you should do. So he's going to ask you that question. Make sure that you ask that question first if you can. Otherwise, go and prepare your elevator speech. That's what questions are. Now, recognition is what it's all about. You know, there's a new term that we use, and it's called edification marketing. I can't talk about myself, but I can definitely talk about other people. So talk about other people and almost have a bit of a contrived agreement with, I'll talk about Paul, Paul will talk about me, and we'll all talk about each other as opposed to talking about ourselves. And that's the new way of marketing. If we continuously tell people about ourselves, well, that's really not great. So look for give people recognition, and you may get some back. Slogan. Work out a slogan for yourself. Now mine is change maker and rule breaker, change maker. And that's what people know me for. And that's quite interesting because I probably stumbled across this about 3 years ago now, and it stuck and people liked it. So, you don't have to stick to one thing, but if people like it, you can work around your slogan so that people know you for a particular thing. Look for those words, play with those words. Twitter and the social networks give you that opportunity to try these words so that it can actually work for you. So allow it to work for you. Find your slogan. Teach. Now, become a trusted advisor. Coming back to the consistency I spoke about earlier, allow people to know you are Mr. or Mrs. Consistency. They will then see you as a trusted advisor. They will always look for the things that you are talking about. That's what it's all about. The more knowledge, as I said earlier in the start of the presentation, the sharing of knowledge is power. So if you become their trusted advisor, they're looking for you to share that knowledge with them in a consistent manner. It's not just about a little nugget here and there and whenever. It's a consistent, and it's all about consistency. So I can't stress that enough. Relationships break down because of the lack of consistency, not the lack of excitement. We often use the example of you boring the whole week. Friday comes, suddenly you want to buy your partner flowers. That's inconsistent. The flowers aren't even accepted. They're seen as suspicious. So the more you can be consistent, the less suspicious you are, the more people can trust you. Understand. Now, what do we need to understand? weak brands are intellectual and strong brands are emotional. It's virtually self-explanatory. And that it comes down to caring for people, finding out what they need. Weak brands just tell people what they think they want. Strong brands find out what people need and give them what they need. So, you need to decide, are you wanting to be a weak brand or a strong brand? And the difference is not the decision, but the decision is whether you want to be intellectual or do you want to be emotional. Now, intellectual, often we speak above people. Emotionally, we need to connect with people at the level they're at. And that's what makes the difference. So try and understand who's listening to you and how you can connect with them effectively. Your voice. Remember, you are unique. Find your own voice. Find your own opinion. Communicate with people in a way that they would understand that it's coming clearly from you. It's almost the personality that you build of yourself. And with that in mind, understand that if it's you that's unique, you can't let someone else do it for you. You can get people to help you, but there needs to be enough of your personality in whatever you're doing. So even in the writing of my book, my editor, Lisa, had to spend a lot of time with me initially to understand me so that my book would not be changed when she edited it, that she would still keep Richard in that book and not just a nice edit. So you need to understand that when your voice needs to be you, and you can have people helping you, but it needs to be genuine, and that's how you make people feel. Now, some of us are more empathetic than others. We have more empathy, we can show more empathy for people. If you get someone to help you that's over empathetic, and then you as a person are not very empathetic, understand that that's going to cause a disconnect for people. It might be a nice disruptor, but it's certainly not something that they would want. So look for something that's uniquely you, and those that help you need to have a similar focus and a similar outlook in life to you. Win friends, and we've brand you is all about networking. And this old book by Dale Carnegie of How to Win Friends and Influence People, sold 16 million copies. There's some lovely information in there. It's still probably one of the best books on building your brand. And I would encourage you, if you haven't read that book, or perhaps you have read it in the past, maybe you need to read it again, just to get some of the tips. Again, it might be old, it has been rewritten, so it's again, chew the chicken, spit out the bones. Take what you need from whatever you learn. And then examine yourself. Now, Google yourself. Make sure that you can monitor your efforts. Don't look for return on investment in everything you do, but probably if you are growing, if your network is growing, that's one way to understand that you're doing something right. When you post something, how many impressions did you get? How many retweets did you get? How many people viewed your blog? All those sort of things will help you and almost encourage you to do more and to continue the good fight here. So never stop. Your brand never sleeps. People never sleep. So you've got to just keep working this brand. There are almost no holidays. You can do things. People do expect you to be human, but don't drop the ball. Just keep the ball rolling. Even if the ball's rolling slowly, it's still rolling. So keep it moving. Drop the ball, and you might find you have to start from scratch again. It's which like running the comrades. You've got to train every day. You can't just train when you feel like it. You've got to have a program, and your brand needs a program. You need to be consistent. You need to be you. You need to be conversational, and you need to be empathetic. Zeal. Okay. Your personal strategy is all about your intention. You need to be determined to be successful. When you've made the choice that you are going to be successful, that you are going to be influential, that's made the big difference between you and your competitors. So put out that determination to be successful. Now, again, coming back to what I said originally, because we live in this compact online world that's so transparent, make sure that whatever you say is a good representation of your brand. Don't think that you can say things now and then that are just loose and then you'll put some professionalism into it. Don't be too professional either. Find the nice balance, because people need to connect with you in a personal and a professional capacity, and you need to show your holistic self as opposed to just the professional self. They have more touch points with you that way. You find that people communicate better when they know who you are as opposed to who they think you are. Thank you. That ends my presentation for this evening. I've put a picture of my new book there. The book launch will take place in Joburg on the 12th and in Cape Town on the 19th. Follow me on Twitter, Rich Simmonds ZA, for more information on the book launches. Let's go back to the webcam.
Thank you very much, Rich, and we are definitely looking forward to your new book, Mug and Tweet. And yes, guys, it's all about your personal brand these days. And do you have a brand? What is your brand about? You need to start working your brand. I love what Rich said about your brand needs a program. I think that's where a lot of us fail, is that we do incremental things on our brand instead of having a program. And your brand also needs integrity. You've got to have integrity when it comes to your brand, because as soon as you don't have integrity, then you have brand failure. So always let your yes be your yes and your no be your no. And that is how you will build a strong brand. And Rich, I want to thank you for this amazing webinar. I really enjoyed it. I've got pools of wisdom that I've written down. That's going to definitely help me, and I'm going to implement it in my own brand. So thank you so much, and we're also looking forward to having you back on one of our webinars. With this public holidays, it was quite challenging getting people onto this webinar, so thank you for the people that did attend, and next time when we have you on, Rich, will make sure there's no public holiday near your webinar. So much for coming tonight.
It's a pleasure, Paul. It was good to be with everyone.
Thank you so much, Rich, and have a pleasant evening. Thank you, everybody. That's the end of our webinar. Thank you so much.